Good evening, everybody. We're going to call this meeting to order. Welcome to our 95th regular session of the Mayor and City Council. Please rise as we have our invocation offered by Reverend Kelly Crenshaw, followed by our pledge to the flag.
If you're so inclined, I ask that you bow your heads with me as I pray. Our most gracious Creator, we thank you for sending your many blessings to us this day. We're thankful to have a mayor and council who can publicly recognize the contributions of the LGBTQ members of our community. We are blessed to live and work in a community where events like today's Pride Month proclamation are celebrated. And we are grateful for those people who can join together in the aftermath of tragedy, such as the horrible event in Orlando, and move forward with purpose and hope. May your love strengthen us for the journey ahead. The Bible tells us that citizens are to obey the governing authorities, as those authorities have been established to promote peace, order, and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, the city officials at various levels of our local government, and for this assembled council. I ask that you grant them the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a true sense of the needs of our community and its people, a strong desire for justice and fairness, the ability to work as a team even when differences are strong, and true appreciation and joy for the task at hand. I pray for today's agenda. Please give them the knowledge to see what is best for our community and what it is that best benefits those who live and work in and around the city of Hagerstown. And all of this I ask in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Please be seated. Just a few announcements. We do have are operating under the rules of procedure adopted on September 24, 2013. Use of cell phones during meetings is restricted. All correspondence for elected officials should be provided to the city clerk and should include a copy for the clerk for the inclusion in the record. And just to review our meeting schedule for July, we have no work session or meeting on Tuesday the 5th, nor do we have a meeting on July 12th. Our work session for July is scheduled on Tuesday the 19th. It's looking like we'll probably have another work session just prior to our regular session on the 26th, just FYI. And at this time, we're going to have a celebration for a very dear employee. And at this time, I'd like to ask Junior Mason to come up, please. Junior Mason is our park superintendent. He just recently announced that he will be retiring after 42 years of service to the city of Hagerstown. All of those years have been in the Parks Department. And I really, there's some pictures that have been scrolling on the big screens here in the council chamber that I think one is your original human resources photo or something like that from 1974. And so I always like to joke that I can't imagine doing anything for 42 years because I haven't even been alive that long. But Junior has certainly put a lifetime of hard work and dedication and really love and passion into his job. And we're so grateful for your service, Junior. You've mentored so many folks who've worked under you. You are responsible for so many of the great things that are in our parks right now. And there just aren't enough words to show our gratitude and appreciation. But I do have a few written on this certificate. So allow me to please indulge. This is a certificate of appreciation recognizing Delbert Junior Mason, Jr., on his retirement from the city of Hagerstown after 42 years of service. Whereas Junior Mason began his career with the city of Hagerstown as a parks foreman on June 3rd, 1974. And whereas over the course of his career, Junior received many promotions, including general foreman in May 18th, 1981, Parks and Rec supervisor March 24th, 1992, and park superintendent April 7th, 2003. And whereas Junior was instrumental in improving the physical amenities, appearance, and diversity of our beloved park system, and whereas Junior has gained a reputation for being helpful, resourceful, positive, and always representing the can-do spirit that the city values in our employees. And whereas Junior was recognized many times during his employment with the city. On February 15, 1983, Junior received a commendation by the mayor and council for his outstanding service during the blizzard of 1983. I think I remember that one. On March 15th, 1995, he received a Safe Behavior Recognition Award from the city for his conscientious efforts to keep city roadways safe. On May 14th, 1996, Junior was recognized by the city's safety committee for his prompt corrective action to prevent harmful contact incidences. In 2005, he received the first annual American Little League Award, certificate and plaque in appreciation for going above and beyond for the American Little League and their players. And then on December 11, 2011, he received a letter of appreciation from Girl Scout Troop 40069 in appreciation of his assistance in a troop park project, and so many other things. And whereas Junior will retire from the city of Hagerstown effective June 30th, 2016, now therefore, with the support of the city council, I, David Geisberts, the mayor of the city of Hagerstown, hereby express our appreciation to Delbert Junior Mason for his dedication, commitment, and service to the citizens of our community, and hereby name the administrative offices, maintenance facility, and future recreation space in Fairgrounds Park as the Junior Mason Parks and Recreation Complex, and direct staff to install the appropriate signs to designate it as such. We congratulate you upon the momentous occasion of your retirement and wish you continued success in all your future endeavors. Junior, thank you so much. Another round of applause for Junior.
Thank you.
Wait, you're not done yet. There's another little, one of the photos that's in the scrolling presentation there, a photo from the Herald Mail, the Daily Mail, from June 15th, 1987, almost 20 years ago, with Junior. I think this picture exemplifies what Junior's all about over the years, which is really helping the children and making sure children have a great, healthy, safe environment to play and recreate. So we're really appreciative of all his service. And Junior, that's just a token of our gratitude. We really, really appreciate your service. Thanks so much. Would you like to make a speech? Photo? Sure.
Council join? Can I have my council join also?
Aaron, you tell us where to stand.
Let's see, if you want to hold that between you, not having a space there. I'll have you two step down on the first step. Valerie, I want you to stand on the end over here. Councilmember Nye, I want you to stand here. And Councilmember Alshire, if you could step over here. You want to go first here?
No, you do first.
All right, right here on three. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead.
Oh, they look prettier in there.
All right, one more here. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
All right. Thanks again, Junior.
Thank you. That picture is a nice suggestion. Thank you.
Councilmember Munson, did you want to say a few words before we move on to the next item?
I would. Junior, and I'm sure there'll be others to follow, other council people to follow, would like to thank you for your service to the city of Hagerstown. You have been an extraordinary public servant, and the mayor said a lot about that. But I want to thank you for something else that wasn't said, and that is how responsive you have been as a department head. I'm the newest councilman up here, but I've called you at least a dozen times since I started. And every time that I called a problem to your attention or a situation to your attention, you picked it up, ran with it, and solved it. And we really appreciate that kind of stuff on behalf of the citizens of Hagerstown.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck. Good luck in retirement.
Would anyone else like to say a few words? Thanks again, Junior. At this time, we're going to proclaim the LGBTQ Pride Month. I'm going to invite our guests to come up to accept this proclamation. I think we have Todd Garnon, Reverend Eckhart Taylor. Is he coming up? Thanks for being here. This is a proclamation for LGBT Pride Month. Oh, sorry. Not on. Thank you. This is a proclamation for LGBT Pride Month. Whereas lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, non-binary, queer Pride Month is a month-long annual observance of LGBT history, the history of gay rights and related civil rights movements. And whereas LGBT Pride Month originated in the United States and was first celebrated in 1994, and whereas many people date the beginning of LGBT Pride movement to the Stonewall riots in New York City. The Stonewall riots were a series of spontaneous, violent demonstrations by members of the gay community against a police raid that took place in the early morning hours of June 28, 1969, at the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village in New York City. They are widely considered to constitute the single most important event leading to the gay liberation movement and the modern fight for gay and lesbian rights in the United States. And whereas, according to the Library of Congress, the purpose of the commemorative month is to recognize the impact that LGBT individuals have on history locally, nationally, and internationally. And whereas celebrations such as parades, parties, rallies, marches, picnics, workshops, symposia, and concerts will attract millions of participants from around the world. Now, therefore, I, David Geisberts, the mayor of the city of Hagerstown, do hereby proclaim June 20, 2016 as LGBT Pride Month in Hagerstown, and encourage those in our city to eliminate prejudice wherever it exists and to celebrate the great diversity of the American people. So I'm going to ask that you guys accept this proclamation. And actually, if anybody who wants to come up and be a part of the acceptance of this proclamation in the audience and have your picture taken, I would welcome you to come up at this time. Anyone else?
That's what we're just saying.
Okay, anyone under the age of 20? If you want to stay together, can you scoot down this way? You can still stay together if you want to go down there. Okay. Keep going. One more. And if I can have you now step down, Reverend? Here we go. Yeah, so we can see it. Perfect. Thank you, Todd. All right, right here on 3. 1, 2, 3. Looks good. I'm gonna take one more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you all.
Now, Todd, would you like to explain the event coming up July 15th, right? Is it the Pride Fest?
It's actually a combined effort on behalf of Rob, who has graciously put together our second annual Interfaith Pride Service. It will be held July 16th at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Veritas Church, which is 22 North Mulberry?
Yeah.
Suite 113.
Mulberry Law.
Yes. At the conclusion of the Interfaith Pride Service, we will be actually hosting our 5th annual but first time downtown Pride Festival on the first block of South Potomac Street from the square to the library. We'll have all kinds of vendors, both local, personal like mom and pop types, as well as larger corporations. We've been very gifted with large companies also being involved in this area as well, and we'll have some great entertainment lined up for you guys. That starts at 12 p.m. and runs through 6 p.m.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We are at the point in the agenda where we have citizen comments, and we have one person who signed up to speak this evening. And so I would invite you that if you did not sign up, after Mr. Wright is finished speaking, I will be glad to, okay, great. I would be glad to entertain your comments. Mr. Wright.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to thank you all. Your continued support of Holly Place through the use of the Cdbg money is so greatly appreciated and absolutely critical to our mission as we continue to try to care for and do care for 15 folks who need assisted living, who can no longer take care of themselves and don't have the resources to pay in a more traditional sense. So your support is absolutely critical for our 15 residents. And again, I really thank you for your support over the years and going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wanted to speak at citizen comments who did not sign up at this time? Yes, Joyce. Go ahead and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joyce Heppner. I'm presently the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity here in Washington County. And for those of you who may know some of my history, I thought I would also add that I am following the lead of Doug Wright, who also was the president of the Maryland Theater at the time that I was the Executive Director of the Maryland Theater. So once again, Doug, I'm following your great example. I understand that this evening you will be voting upon funding for the Cdbg money. Habitat for Humanity has applied, and I do believe that we are being considered for funding. I wanted to be here this evening to say thank you. We sincerely appreciate your consideration. The funds that you will be giving to Habitat for Humanity will be plugged back into repairing homes for elderly individuals who are low income and in need of having their homes brought back to safe, decent housing. So thank you very much. We will do our best to do as much with those funds as we possibly can. Again, our appreciation for myself, the staff, and all of the people here in Washington County that will be able to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who signed up for citizen comments who did not, or who didn't sign up, who wishes to speak? Okay. We have a public hearing this evening, and so I'm going to invite staff to come up for their presentation. This is on the local conversion overlay at 400 Jonathan Street.
Good evening. This is for the local conversion district overlay proposed rezoning for 400 Jonathan Street. Just a little background on the local conversion zoning. The purpose of it is to adaptively reuse commercial buildings in residential zoning districts, provided that they meet certain qualifications. The uses that are permitted under local conversion overlay are generally consistent with that of our commercial local districts that we have throughout the city. And typically the type of buildings that would qualify for local conversion rezoning would be those that were built in the late 19th century, early 20th century, typically your mixed-use buildings or your commercial buildings that are buried within residential neighborhoods. And also designed into this process is that the local conversion is to be a quid pro quo in exchange for commercial zoning in a residential zoning district. The property owner would agree to do make some improvements to the property to try and have it be a good neighbor to the surrounding residential neighbors. So the proposal before you tonight is, again, 400 Jonathan Street. The underlying zoning is medium density residential, or RMED. In the past, this property was occupied by a retail use. It was a convenience store. And we believe, based on our institutional knowledge of the property, that it became vacant in 2002, in which a non-conforming use status would have kicked in as soon as it closed. However, and that would have only lasted a year, but it was vacant for longer than a year, so it lost its non-conforming use status in 2003. So the property owner, the current property owner, Kadeen Wilson, she is proposing that the property be rezoned under local conversion zoning for a restaurant, to reuse the building as a restaurant. And this slide shows you a little bit of the, just some of the architectural renderings we've received in the application. And I do want to commend Ms. Wilson and her architect for doing a very nice submittal. This is one of the nicest we've gotten for local conversions, so I do appreciate that. You can see that the building currently has few windows. If you can see the building now, it has few windows, but the applicant is proposing to open up windows both on the North Avenue side and the Jonathan Street side. That top diagram is for North Avenue, and then the bottom picture is what it would look like from Jonathan Street. The proposal also includes wall-mounted signage on both street frontages, again, North Avenue as well as Jonathan Street. And just as a note, the zoning ordinance allows one square footage of sign per one linear foot of street frontage. So if this building is 40 feet long, they could have 40 square feet of signage on one side. And then the same for the other side. I think it's 16 feet on the other side, so it could have 16 square feet of signage. There are two entrances proposed, one at the corner of Jonathan Street, and the other would be a handicap accessible entrance on the east side of the building. There are no specific parking requirements under local conversion zoning. However, the ordinance does require that what existing parking there is on site, the proposal cannot reduce the amount of parking that's already there. The parking that exists now could accommodate approximately 2 to 3 parking spaces. And that's just a photo of the parking lot as it is now. Local conversion is handled like a typical rezoning process. The Planning Commission reviewed the proposal, had their public review meeting, made their recommendation to Mayor and Council, and we're having our public hearing tonight with the Mayor and Council level. And then should the Mayor and Council approve this local conversion overlay, the next step for the applicant would be prepare a site plan that would ultimately be reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission. At this time, I want to enter into the record the certificate of advertisement in the file by reference.
Thank you.
This is just an overlay, or excuse me, an overview of the area. You can just see the yellow highlight is the property in question. You just see the surrounding buildings. The buildings are in kind of a light blue with an aerial underlay. And this is a Google Street View shot from Jonathan Street. I believe this was taken in November of 2015. And if I can get the clicker to work. There we go. This is the entire rendering showing rendering showing the entire site. The top of the rendering is the actual building. It shows some interior modifications, and then just below that would be the parking area. And then you can see that there is a dumpster being proposed, and then you can see that the 2 entrances, the one on the left being the one closest to Jonathan Street, and then the other being the handicap accessible entrance. The Planning Commission reviewed this proposal and recommended 3 conditions for approval under rezoning, which is allowed under overlay zoning rezonings. The first condition would be that the old metal sign pole on Jonathan Street should be removed. And in fact, it is likely that that part of that pole, the perpendicular piece that kind of sticks out towards the street, actually probably goes into the right-of-way, but they had recommended that the pole should be removed. The second condition would be that parking spaces shall be striped in the parking area. And as I mentioned earlier, we believe that there is enough space to accommodate 2 to 3 parking spaces. And then the third condition recommended by the Planning Commission was just that the dumpster enclosure should be placed closer to that eastern entrance. And I've drawn a red arrow on the rendering just to kind of give you a general idea of where we're thinking it should go. And the reason that the Planning Commission had suggested this was, one, it's not in the parking lot, it takes it out of the parking lot, and two, because of the driveway apron where it's placed on North Avenue, it would actually be easier for a trash hauler to back in to the site and more easily access. It would be more accessible actually up there than it would be, and it's how it's shown on the drawing, because they could back up right to it. Just a little bit on next steps. After the public hearing tonight, staff is also recommending that the mayor and council introduce the rezoning, and staff will bring this back to you tentatively at the July 19th work session. And then we're asking that at the July 26th regular session that you approve or deny or approve with modifications the rezoning. And if it is approved, the local conversion zoning takes effect after 30 days. And at this time, I'll take any questions.
Jonathan, I can't remember, is on-street parking allowed along the curbs?
There is on-street parking along North Avenue and Johnson Street.
Some additional parking places for people who might not find parking on the lot.
Yep, there's currently on-street parking both on West North Avenue and Jonathan Street.
Okay. And another question I have is, if you face the property 400, there is a house off to the right. Runs in my mind, but I'm not certain about this. It is sort of a stone concrete block, large house. And what I'd like to know is that house a blighted property?
I don't know the answer to that question. That's something that we can look into.
Well, Kathy's back there. Perhaps she knows if that's a blighted property. She knows them all. She knows them all.
I do not know them all.
Okay.
We'd have to get back to you on that.
Well,
Talking about the stone with the turret.
if it is a blighted property, I would hope that the city will, as soon as possible, get our enforcement people on it and either get it repaired or torn down. These folks are putting a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and taking a huge risk on this business, and they don't deserve to have a blighted property beside them, if that is a blighted property. I'm not entirely certain, but it runs in my mind. I think it may be. So,
Okay.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Kathy.
Any other council questions or comments?
Not a question, just a comment. This is another example, I think, of the planning staff over the years proposing innovative solutions to try to maintain and improve the fabric of this community, to try to deal with properties that are lingering with grandfathering questions and so forth. So it's another example. We'll continue. Sometimes it's an experiment, but overall I see community improvement happening, and it's good direction we're going.
My only comment is that I think it's a great idea, and I wish Ms. Wilson and her business partners all the success in the world. I understand, Ms. Wilson, would you like to speak at the hearing?
The main reason for Dexter and I to bring this restaurant to the area, because that area does have a lot of crime rate, and I think the restaurant would bring a more positive, situation to that area, because a lot of people don't have vehicles. There's a lot of walking,
Sure.
and they tend to walk all the way to Franklin Street to get food. So, and we can also provide more opportunities for kids that's in high school, to give them something to do, to, do something positive where they can make an earning and just bring something more positive to the neighborhood and just, be at peace instead of just, as far as the crime goes, and just have something more positive in that area. So, and I know that some homeowners are concerned as far as the noise, and, that's something that we would make sure that we tone that down, and we will have total control of that.
Make
'cause
sure
that's
people
not
chew with their
something-
mouth closed.
I'm sorry?
Make sure they chew with their mouth closed.
Yes, chew with their mouth closed.
There won't be as
because
much noise.
Yes, and our restaurant is not a hangout spot,
Right.
and that's, we're just trying to make the community a much better place, and we would love the opportunity to have a restaurant there.
Do you want to give us a sneak preview as to what might be on your menu?
Well, mainly, quick food, like soul food. We will have, like fried chicken, shrimp, and, subs, and you can come in and eat in, or you could take out, but it's basically something that you do very quickly.
Sure.
And just eat and go. So
Nice.
hopefully when it's up and running, you guys can come in and
I
give us a shot.
definitely will be. I'm always looking for a good place to eat.
Okay.
So I think this is a great example of exactly what this overlay is intended for. And I agree with Alex that your drawings and the proposal that you made are very professionally done. And like I said, hopefully that's a sign of your future success to come.
Thank you.
It seems like a very well thought out plan and will certainly be an improvement to the neighborhood.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Would anyone else like to speak at the public hearing at this time? We will leave the record open, as far as I'm concerned, until the next time we discuss this on July 19th. So if anyone has any comments, we can certainly forward them to planning staff, and we'll make sure they get included in the record. Anything else, Alex? Okay. That will conclude our public hearing. And at this time, we have the city administrator's comments.
I just want to thank Mayor and Council for allowing us to recognize Junior in that manner. And I think that it meant a lot to him, and his work has meant obviously a lot to all of us. Thank you. That's
Indeed.
all.
Thanks. And now it's time for council comments. I'll start on my left with Ms. Nye, and we'll work our way down. Councilmember Nye.
All right, I just want the citizens who are listening, just please be reminded that trash cans and recycle bins do get taken off, are supposed to be taken off of the street after the trash has done its pickup, as late as in the evening if possible, because I'm receiving a lot of phone calls again about the recycle bins and those not being taken back up on the property. Also, and I don't know if I sent this down to Public Works or not, but I need another, when the street sweeper is going to hit Broadway. I was given a phone call on that, and I think that I called, but I'm not sure, Valerie, because I was hit with this on Friday. There's still leaves that are remaining there from when we had fall, and it's a matter of moving vehicles, and I just don't know what the schedule is. I should now have
I'm
that
sorry,
schedule.
Penny, I thought that that got to you. I'll make sure that you get this.
I don't know that I have
Okay.
that, all
Okay.
right? But anyway, that's what I needed. And also, I received a phone call about chickens being now in the city limits, chickens. And they're being raised, and I've already called. I got Kathy on it, I got Gary Lambert on it, and the people have, I think, been sent a citation, and I think that something is supposed to happen next week. So, again, for those that are moving into the area, if you need to know what guidelines are. If landlords are renting, they need to know. And for homeowners that are new homeowners coming in, we cannot, as much as what some would like to, that was stopped years and years ago. So I'm just letting everybody be aware of, this is the second time now that I've been called about chickens being raised in the city.
Okay.
All right? That's it.
I can specifically recall a debate we had on the Planning Commission as to whether chickens are considered livestock or not. Yeah, so that's certainly a debate we could have, but I don't think we're going to at this time. Mr. Munson.
Thank you, Mayor. I've already made my comments.
All right. Mr. Metzner.
Nothing, Mayor.
Mr. Brubaker.
Yes, on Monday night, last night, Congressman Delaney held and I believe the mayor's going to say more about this, but I want to commend Congressman Delaney for having a workshop on small entrepreneurs, small business. He's a guy with hands-on experience. He started out and worked his way up. So I also want to thank the other participants from state agencies and the private sector for being on the panel and giving their advice. There was a good turnout, and you know, I've encouraged the congressman to try to find more entrepreneurial opportunities up here from his background, and I think this is part and parcel of that effort. So thank you, Congressman Delaney.
Mr. Alshire.
I have one comment. I'm probably going to get this wrong. It really has nothing to do with city business. But I'm sure everybody's been following the Orlando events the last couple of weeks. And, you know, and you would think as close as information and virtual communication is to our fingertips these days, that this would somehow be a party or Republican or Democrat issue. You think that it's a debate of political peace and compromise. I don't think that that's it. I think it's fairly simple, you know, for the average person. I think that we simply want our federal government to exercise the force that we endow them with. And then I think that our founders envisioned, and that is to purposefully and definitively combat hate and tyranny in whatever form it takes, wherever it occurs, and to whomever among our citizenry it's perpetrated. I think that anything less than that is complete failure on our federal government's part, and I think it is a clear reflection of the 10% job approval rating that we as citizens give them, and I think it's a failure on all parts of that.
Well, my comments are first to thank the 4 Little Leagues in the city of Hagerstown, along with the Hagerstown Suns, and of course our own Parks and Rec Department, for all getting together and putting on the first ever Tournament of Champions for the city Little Leagues. I was there for the opening pitch. Wasn't a very good pitch. Certainly those kids are better ball players than me, but just the energy and excitement, and it's really just surprising that this kind of event hasn't happened sooner. But it was a really well-attended series of events. They got rained out after, I don't even think they got the first game in. They weren't able to, I wasn't able to present the trophy at the Suns game on Sunday because they were still making up games, but I was there last night to crown the champion, which this year was the Funkstown Legion National Little League team. And we look forward to another great series next year, but wanted to thank those folks, all the volunteers, the coaches, the players, the parents, all the people involved in making that happen. Also wanted to give a shout out to the community theater group who put on the Merchant of Venice. I didn't get to see it, but I heard it was really fantastic and want to thank them for doing that. And also, as Councilmember Brubaker mentioned, thank Congressman Delaney for bringing his entrepreneurship workshop to the library last night. It was very well attended, and I saw some seasoned entrepreneurs there and prominent business people in the community, as well as entrepreneurs and people who are just starting out creating their own businesses. And just want to thank Congressman Delaney again for having that event here in Hagerstown. And I have no other comments. If anyone else has anything, we will go to the minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of minutes as presented for the mayor and council meetings held on May 1st, May 5th, May 10th, May 17th, and May 24th, of course, all in 2016.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Munson, seconded by Mr. Metzner. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Minutes are approved. Next up is our consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move that all the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Alshire, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Consent agenda is approved. Unfinished business, the approval for annexation resolution.
Mayor, hereby move the mayor and council approve an annexation resolution for property located at 250 Eastern Boulevard North. Property to be annexed is approximately 1.03 acres in size and is intended to be added to and made part of the adjacent municipal lands.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Brubaker, seconded by Mr. Metzner. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the annexation is approved. Under new business, item A is the introduction of an ordinance for the local conversion district overlay at 400 Jonathan Street.
Mr. Mayor, hereby move the mayor and city council will introduce an ordinance for a local conversion district overlay, including the 3 conditions endorsed by the planning commission on property located at 400 Jonathan Street.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Brubaker, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Item B is the approval of a resolution for the FY 2017 Community Legacy Application.
Mr. Mayor, I move the mayor and city council adopt a resolution indicating approval of the city's FY17 Community Legacy Application to the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. The application requests funding for 3 city capital projects, $200,000 for a student housing project in the city center, $125,000 for replenishment of down payment assistance rehabilitation program in the sustainable community area, $25,000 for replenishment of facade grant program for commercial and mixed-use buildings in the Main Street area.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Alshire and seconded by Mr. Brubaker. Just want to comment that this has been a very successful program for the city. We've utilized these resources many, many times in the past, and we're very grateful for any assistance we get from the state of Maryland. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the resolution is approved. Item C is the approval of a resolution for the FY 2017 Strategic Demolition Fund application.
Mayor, I hereby move that the mayor and city council adopt a resolution indicating approval of the city's fiscal year 2017 Strategic Demolition Fund application to the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. The application requests funding for $750,000 for site development and/or architectural and engineering design for a downtown office building, and it's called Catalyst Project Number 1 in the city's community plan.
Second.
Plan.
Motion made by Mr. Munson, seconded by Mr. Metzner. Any discussion? I was just going to point out for this particular grant, we have applied in the past, but we have not received funding. The one application we had, we withdrew because the project did not come to fruition. So if we were awarded this, it would be our first grant under this program. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the resolution is approved. Item D is the approval of a resolution authorizing a financial incentive agreement between the City of Hagerstown and Pinnacle Foods Group, LLC.
Mr. Mayor, hereby move the mayor and city council approve a resolution authorizing the city to enter into a financial incentive agreement with Pinnacle Foods Group, LLC in connection with its acquisition of property, redevelopment of property, and the creation of new jobs to be paid for from General Fund Economic Development Incentive line item. The city's financial incentive is offered in partnership with incentives provided by Washington County and the state of Maryland.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Alshire, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion? This is another great example of partnership between the city, the county, and the state for economic development. It's been a long time in the making, so I want to thank staff for all their perseverance in working with all the partners. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The resolution is approved. Item E is the approval of a resolution for the FY 2017 Cdbg Annual Action Plan.
Mayor, hereby move for adoption of a resolution approving the FY 2017 Annual Action Plan for the Community Development Block Grant Program, authorizing the mayor to file an application for financial assistance with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in the amount of $654,941 for the Community Development Block Grant Program. Further authorizing the mayor to execute all other documents relating to the city's Community Development Block Grant Program for FY 2017.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Brubaker, seconded by Mr. Metzner. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it, the resolution is approved. Item F is the approval of amendments to past CDBG annual action plans.
Mr. Mayor, I move the mayor and city council to approve amendments to past CDBG annual action plans as required by CDBG citizen participation regulations. CDBG action plan amendments are required when one or more of the following occur. CDBG activities are completed substantially under budget. The city receives unanticipated CDBG program income, or CDBG activities are not carried out. Details of the action plan amendments are included in the attached document.
Second.
I heard motion by Mr. Alshire, seconded by Mr. Brubaker. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries, and the amendments are approved. Item G is the approval of a purchase of a 2016 Ford F-550.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move mayor and city council approve purchase of a utility service vehicle with crane on a 2016 Ford 550 4x4 chassis for McCafferty Ford, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, in the amount of $122,708. Account number 5485001 and suffixes has $255,000 budgeted in FY17.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Brubaker.
And one comment.
Sure,
This
go ahead.
This definitely proves that trucks don't come cheap anymore.
Especially not with all those bells and whistles.
I'll tell you what else. This amount of money, I would definitely not be approving if it didn't say Ford, I can tell you that. If it's worth Chevy, I'd be saying no.
Wow. All right. Any other discussion?
I didn't read fix or repair daily into this.
Right.
All right, all right.
I wasn't gonna go there. All right.
Yeah,
Any other
plus the
discussion?
Sides of the room.
Any other smack talk? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion's approved and the purchase can be made. Approval, item H, of city funding support for the Maryland Theater expansion architect and design phase.
Mr. Mayor, hereby move the mayor and council approval of a maximum of $500,000 in city funding to support the Maryland Theater expansion architect and design phase as requested in the presentation of the mayor and council on May 3, 2016. The Maryland Theater in Washington County have provided an estimated total cost of $1 million for the design portion of the expansion project. The city's maximum of $500,000 in funding will match the funding provided by Washington County. The source of the city's funding will be from the approved FY17 capital improvement budget and project C0854 downtown redevelopment, and the funding source will be a future 2017 bond issue.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Alshire, seconded by Ms. Nye. Any discussion?
Well, again, I continue to point out that we cannot be expected to continue to match 50-50 resources of other government entities. We do not have the financial base that they have. It's a regional attraction, and we all need to work together. But this is not a precedent for 50-50 funding. It's an investment in the county, by the city, in trying to get this project kick-started and off the ground. That's the way I see it.
I agree. I just want to thank the county again for taking the leadership and making these projects happen. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the funding is approved. Item I is the approval of workers' comp insurance, excess insurance, and surety bond.
Mr. Mayor, I have moved for mayor and council approval of the following purchases as required by the Maryland Workers' Compensation Commission to administer the city's self-insured workers' compensation program. 3 purchases include the following: excess workers' compensation liability insurance, $164,035. Workers' compensation self-insurance TPA services, $32,040. Workers' compensation continuous security bond, $38,100.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Alshire, seconded by Mr. Brubaker. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and fees are approved. Item J is the acceptance of a Firefighters Grant.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and council acceptance of the assistance to Firefighters Grant for the purchase of a fit test machine, 102 face pieces with communication bracket and voice amplifier, and 102 traffic vests by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. The equipment will increase the safety of our firefighters. The total grant award is $75,276. The federal share is $68,433. The city match portion of $6,843 will be funded as a general fund item.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Munson, seconded by Ms. Nye. Any discussion?
Just want to thank the fire company staff for their direction on securing this grant funding.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the acceptance of the grant is approved. Item K is the approval of reimbursement to the Washington County for the second half of FY16 for the Narcotics Task Force.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and council approval to reimburse the Washington County Narcotics Task Force a total of $118,866.35 for the second half of fiscal year 16. This is paid for out of HPD's operating budget.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Nye, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the approval is granted. Item L is the approval of a purchase for 60 body-worn cameras for the police department.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and council approval of the purchase of 60 body cameras. This is a multi-year contract agreement with the purchase of the cameras, including chargers, storage licenses, docking stations, and shipping for a total of $51,491 and being purchased in fiscal year 17. The licensing fee of $16,236 will be ongoing for fiscal year 18 through fiscal year 21. The total contract amount for these cameras is $116,834.06.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Nye, seconded by Mr. Metzner. Any discussion?
Well, yes, just want to comment that this protects not just the public, but the officers involved, the government of Hagerstown. It's a wise way to proceed, and I believe so far the department has utilized this, the startup efforts wisely, but we need to continue to watch implementation of this program. I'm sure it'll be done well, but that's critical in this type of effort.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The purchase is approved. Item M is the approval of a purchase for four police cruisers. Sorry, didn't mean to say Ford, although they are Fords.
Mr.
Mayor,
Mayor,
hereby move for mayor and council approval of the purchase of 3 2017 Ford Interceptors and 1 2016 150 XL Special Operation Vehicle for HPD use. These vehicles will be purchased from Keystone Ford in Chambersburg, PA for a total of $156,802. Funding will be from HPD's vehicle CIP account.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Metzner, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion?
Looks like it's a winning night for Ford.
That's right. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Purchase is approved. The final item, item N, is the award of a contract for Hamilton Run Stream Relocation and Watershed Action Plan.
Mayor, hereby move for approval of a contract with Fairvic Cyber Associates, Inc. in the amount of $105,000 for the design of a stream relocation project and the development of an action plan for Hamilton Run. Funding for the project is $90,000 in grant funds from the Maryland Department of the Environment and $15,000 in prior bond proceeds.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Brubaker, seconded by Mr. Metzner. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Contract is approved, and we are adjourned. Thanks so much, everybody.